The Backhand of Fate. Backhand of Fate. Scene analysis. Okay. I don't often do this. In fact, most authors won't. But y'all need to know what makes a good scene. At sundown, Zizi came back to where the raft was tied, and the 5 of them sat by the fire as dinner cooked. All right. I have set the time. Okay. We're looking for time, place, characters. That's the important bit. Time, at sundown. Place, where the raft was tied. Characters. Well, there's Zizi and the 5. And what are they doing? They're sitting by the fire as dinner is cooked. All right. If you look at, I don't know, let's say Dallas. You look at the outside of the ranch. And outside of the ranch tells you we are at the ranch. Okay, it's that easy. If you look at Star Trek, you look at the outside of Star Trek, and then you look inside, and it doesn't matter. You have looked at the outside. Now, whether you go to the bridge and there's bustle, or there's all kinds of stuff going on in sickbay or engineering, you know you're on the Enterprise. If you go to, Stargate, you look at the outside, which is that silly entrance to a cavern. And what happens there? You got guys doing push-ups or running back and forth, or some guy looking back and forth through a clipboard. There's interesting things happening. The pages are being flipped. If you go back to the Dallas one, there's trucks moving, or cars, or horses, or someone's making love in the bottom right point, okay? Doesn't matter. Something interesting is happening, okay? On Star Trek, when you get on the ship, people are wiggling around. And the captain is pointing at this guy, and someone is moving over there. Yeah, shit's happening. That's the way it works, okay? Step 1, you show where you are, when you are, and who is there, and what's going on. At sundown, Zizi came back to where the raft was tied, and the 5 of them sat by the fire as dinner was cooked. That is a correct way to do it. There was herbal tea or alcohol to drink, and on the fire, there were slices from a 10-pound cube of monster meat roasting under Duckweed's attention. Okay, I have so far given 2 characters. It had been bartered from a raft coming down the river. Don't find dead monsters often, Duckweed said, but when you do, everyone in the valley eats well. I'd like to see the skeletal remains of the beast, Salty had said. The meat sellers had said they hadn't been interested in sharing the frozen beast's location, which was not a surprise. Duckweed said they needed to keep the meat frozen, at least chilled with ice, as long as it would spoil. On the journey to the city, the meat sellers were not interested in this advice. Look, that's 3 people. Duckweed, Salty, and Zizi so far have been mentioned. Zizi suggested that the sausage sellers should be interested in this product, though most times sausage sellers filled out their twists of the links with less expensive grain-based materials soaked in grease. After all, he said, as Duckweed tried his best to ignore him, it's hard to make both ends meet. Yeah, I always try to put in a funny, at least once per scene. Where did you get your very nice canoe? Duckweed asked, desperate to change the subject. I got it direct from the canoe building clan, Span said. 2 summers ago, I hitched a ride on a raft going past the stream where the canoe builders lived. I walked in from there. I helped them build their canoes for a couple of months. In exchange, they sold me this excellent canoe for a very reasonable price. I've been doing courier work since then, and as you can see, my arms have grown as strong as Clear's. That's the 4th person by the fire. Clear scoffed. He ripped a log in half without apparent effort. One half he laid on the fire. The other half he laid on the ground beside Span. Okay, Clear is a brute. This is your introduction to how much of a brute this guy is. Did you build your canoe? Asked Zizi, doing his best to ignore Clear's casual display of brute strength. And how do canoes get built anyway? Nah, I didn't build this one, but I worked on its twin, so I know how they get made. Span paused to chew on his current consignment of carefully cooked monster meat. Okay. I like having the first letter of a word sound like everything else. It's onomatopoeia to me, and in modern times it's called something else. They say that they can even grow gardens in the snow because of the heat the charcoal gives the soil. I didn't see that part. I didn't stick around for the winter. Anyway, they sand out the char, put in some seats, carved the pretty prow and stern, and now I have a craft faster than any on the river. Okay. To me, as an engineer, that was important. There are scattered patches in the Amazon that have a few or 5 acres each, where the ground is covered to a depth of 5 or 6 feet with wet black charcoal and the pottery shards. The pottery was water carriers, which when they broke became the shards used for scraping the warm charcoal out of the log, the deepening trough in the log. This is known because microscopic examination of the pottery edges shows the wear from the rubbing. These fertile fields are known and fiercely fought over. The charcoal acts as a sponge for water and nutrients, and 3 or 4 crops a year can be harvested from this soil. And because 1,000 years ago or 2, there was a canoe factory built on that site, and it left behind the canoe builder's equivalent of industrial waste. It couldn't have been from cooking fires, because cooking fires take the wood all the way down to white ash. Okay, scene analysis. I did really well the first intro. Okay, I introduced all of the characters in progress. That's a good thing. I put the time down at sundown. Oh, by the way, there's 2 suns, so sundown is the correct wording. Okay, I introduced Zizi, and then Duckweed, and then Salty, and then Clear, well, Span, and then Clear. So I introduced all the characters. I said there were 5 of them. I introduced them. I done that good. What I didn't do as well was the exit interview. Dang it. When you do the exit interview, what you have to do is set up a further pile of anxiety. And I didn't do that very well. Okay, I really didn't, and I acknowledge that. But my point was the paragraph about how do you make a canoe. As an engineer, that was important. As anybody else, no, you don't care. I get that. But as an engineer, you're going to watch what I want you to watch. That's me as an author. And yes, this is actually very accurate.